Extreme Collectibles with an extreme statue. I just can't get over how big this is. That's what she said. So, yeah. Before I jump into this, I just want to let you know I pulled it out of the box and some of it was like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. Then as I put it together and I took the pictures, wow. This is an epic, epic piece. Not only because of the size, but just the presence of it, and wow is all I have to say. So let's start the review because I have a feeling this is going to be a long one. That's what she said too. Extreme Collectibles here with 1/3 scale Killer Croc by Prime 1 Studios. This piece is one of many in their 1/3 DC line, specifically Bat Villains. I purchased this guy kind of a last impulse. It was the Sideshow low stock notice that kind of did me in. And there was an ES, there's two different versions here. So the first version is the collector's edition, and the second version is the exclusive, as usual. The collector's edition does not have this movable bat skull right here, which we're gonna take a look at later. So kind of a lame exclusive version, if you ask me. I think they could have done much more, but it's still a cool piece. So it was the exclusive that's low, and I believe they're both sold out on Sideshow right now. The collector's edition had 350 edition size, and the exclusive had 250. Price point, I believe, was $1,400 or $1,500, which obviously for the size you can see why. As you guys probably know, I have a huge 1/3 scale DC line going, and I'm gonna have to remove an air hockey table because it's gonna take up this entire room that I'm gonna put them all in. So I pulled the trigger on him. I'm so happy I did here right now. I'm really excited. Tomorrow, Prime 1, my first of the 2 Prime 1 freezes I'm getting, and if you ask why I'm getting 2, watch my video coming in a few days, is coming tomorrow, but I won't be around to unbox it, unfortunately. Anyway, put this guy together. Killer Croc, obviously a classic Bat villain, came in 2 boxes, and I thought it'd be pretty simple. I thought it'd be 2 or 3 pieces, but there was actually quite a bit. So the base is 1 piece, and then this skull and this skull are 1 piece. The sewer line right here has sewer grates that you put on top of it, and there's a rat or a mouse inside. I guess I should look at it closely. I did once study vertebrate pests, ironically. I have a weird past. And then on the back of it, the chains for Killer Croc, this was another piece. Killer Croc himself, his legs are 1 piece, his torso is another, which obviously you can see how big this is. I held it up to my 7-year-old son. You're 7, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
he's 7. And it's just as big as him, and he's one of the tallest kids in his class. The arms or the hands are another piece. The bandages have little bandages. There's 4 of them that kind of stick in random places. That's what she said. And so there's 4 of those. Then he has, I'm trying to think, his belt buckle here, which is also kind of his chains, where his chains attached to, I assume, which we're going to talk about, is another piece. And then he has 2 portraits. The first one right here, as you see, this is kind of my favorite at the moment, but they're both excellent. The open mouth portrait. And then you have a closed mouth portrait. Both very, very cool. Huge, huge statue. Very, very heavy. Let's jump right into concept and design. Wait. I don't know if we can measure it. We'll try to measure it. So width is 20 inches. Depth, probably the piping here, is about 18. And then height is just under 36 inches. So be prepared for it to take up a lot of real estate on both width, height, and depth. All 3, width, height, and depth. But now let's jump into the concept and design. So Killer Croc, obviously, this piece is just awesome on many, many levels. And there are some downfalls that we are going to talk about. But first of all, the base itself, obviously it's a sewer base. That's where he lives. Not only is it a sewer base, but there's a lot of different things going on in here. First of all, there's some skulls of maybe people he's eaten. Batman's skull, which is an awesome, awesome addition to it. And it is movable, so that's kind of neat. But there's also chains all over here. So first of all, not only chains that are, just holding the pipe together, but chains that it looks like were meant for Killer Croc. For example, this one right here, this chain and iron. And as you see on Killer Croc himself, he also has chain attachments where he was obviously locked up. So maybe this was his prison. Maybe this was his prison and he just escaped, maybe the other side of it. Who knows who kept him down here? Maybe it was the police. I would assume so, because it almost looks like he has a prison outfit on, at least his pants. And it's kind of a specialty outfit because it was kind of stitched together, which we're going to see when we look at it closely with the paint and the sculpt. Maybe Batman put him down here. That's why Batman's symbol is over on the other side. Who knows? But he's in the sewer. He's in kind of a museum pose. It's hard to tell whether he's just posing or he's actually lurching along, walking, lumbering. I remember not my first girlfriend, my second girlfriend when I was like 15 or 16. She said, I have a lumber. I lumber around. I don't actually walk. But that's neither here nor there. And he's free from his chain, so he's very satisfied. He's very happy. He's going out to eat someone else or do whatever Killer Crocs do. I've never met one in real life. So very, very cool statue. I love the concept. I love, it's pretty simply designed for how large it is. A lot of times when a piece is this big, I say that they could have went smaller and they should have went smaller. I don't think that this is the case here. So I'm really excited. At the end of this review, I will get a Arkham Batman next to him just to kind of give you guys a scale. And I know there's some other great reviews out there that have already done that. But let's jump right into the base and all the details that are going on here. And first of all, before we get to Croc, I think Croc is a home run on every level. But I think the base has some opportunity, then it also has some things that knock it out of the park. So first of all, along the bottom of the base, you have kind of this metal iron on top of the concrete cement. And I don't know why it's there. It's just probably something so it didn't look so plain. It looks okay. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think the pipes on the base look okay. I think the sculpt's good. I think the paint's a little lackluster. There's a lot of green in there, which there would be some mold and moss and things like that growing on top of the copper, but I think they should have made it more rusty looking. I think the colors are almost a little bit too bright. On the back of the base, where it has more of that piping and the chains look great, by the way. The cuffs or whatever it's called, I haven't been locked up in a couple months, so I can't remember what they call them, but look great. The bat symbol looks really good. The skulls look really good. I think where it's a big miss is on the plain concrete down here. It looks okay. I think they should have given it a lot more texture. I think they should have given it a little bit more paint really to make it pop. I'm not a huge fan of it. The bones as well, the skulls look good, but the bones I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like the coloring that they did on them. The paint, it looks really flat. They don't look like real bones, which we do know Prime 1 is capable of doing that. And here's a close-up of the exclusive, the bat helmet. It looks really good. I think they should have done some weathering on the mask because the skull indicates he's been there rotting away for a long time, but the mask, other than the rips, looks almost brand new. The grates on the bottom, there's some damage in there. The sculpt, and underneath it, it almost looks like it's this flowing water. And they have that same flowing water in the middle where the bones are, and some parts of it look really, really good, and then some, it just looks really stupid. I think Prime 1 could have done better with the resin effect. Where I really like the base is the concrete bricks along the back. So first of all, the sculpt is amazing, not only on the texture of the bricks, but in between where the mortar is. And then there's some scratches, like Killer Croc just scratched it out, and the paint on it is phenomenal. And there's even places, as you see, where it looks like they added some moss and some detail. So that part of the base really knocks it out of the park. And then the other part of the base I really didn't talk about is the sewer line with the covers, the grate covers running through it. Looks really, really good. And behind one of them, as I talked about earlier, there's a mouse, a rat, And he looks okay, but I like that it's kind of a hidden Easter egg. Then moving on to Killer Croc, his feet look really, really good. A lot of definition, a lot of tone. I like how the front is a different color than the back, and the bandages both on his feet and his hands look phenomenal. They did such a good job on these. I'm really, really impressed. It looks like real bandages. I love the paint application. I love the texture. I love the sculpt. And then moving up as his right leg, he has kind of that ankle bracelet where I assume the chains were hooked to. The leathering looks okay. I've seen better. I think they should have done some wear in there because they did a ton of wear on the metal parts of it, but the leather looks brand new. Then moving to his pants look phenomenal. It's one of the best parts of Killer Croc. First of all, it's sculpted pants. It looks like mixed media, and I love the coloring. I love the texture. I love the lines along the seams. I love the fact that they made it look like they're using clips to hold the pants together. They had to make some special pants for him because they don't make them in the traditional size. And there's the wording from his prison, obviously, the Black Gate prison. And then on the insides, it's a kind of a different, it's like this leathery upholstered couch kind of look. And again, I love the wrinkles and the creases and how it's all bunched up together, and that's all over the pants. It's just a phenomenal job. I'm really getting off on his pants. That's what she said. And then moving up, his belt, his pant loops around his belt, again, they just look fantastic. His belt, the leather looks good, doesn't look great. I think they missed a little bit of opportunity again. Maybe it's with the wear, because it looks brand new and the rest of the statue does not. And then on the front, his belt buckle, which is, I assume this is where some chains were hooked as well. It looks good. I like the wear, I like the dents in it. And then the straps on the side that actually hold the buckles in, they look really good too. Then starting at Killer Croc's back, so there's really two parts of Killer Croc's skin. One are kind of these spikes coming out, and they're all the way up his back and down the front side of his arms. And there's this glistening effect all over his body to show kind of that it's this wetness to show that it's really a sewer, and they pulled that off phenomenally. And then the other part is kind of that scaly skin that it blends in right there. Really, really cool. And there's some parts where it looks like the underside of a snake's scaly skin, and then some real scales. And these are both on his arms and his back and his front. And there's some good muscle definition. They didn't make him too muscular, which I really appreciate. He has some massive biceps and his chest is big. But then moving to his stomach, I like how they gave him all the fat rolls because he is hunching over. And no matter how fit you are, it seems that you have those fat rolls when you hunch over. Then his fingers look excellent, really great sculpt and detail. And the color just pops, and I didn't really talk about that on Killer Croc's skin, but he has 4 or 5 different greens in there that just really complement the blacks and the glistening effect. Phenomenal job. And then again, his bandages, just like his bandages on his feet, really look good. Very mummy-like, very good texture, the overlay on them, the design. And then moving up to his head, he has those scale, almost a mix of the scales and spikes on his head. But then his sculpt on his face, his ears look really good on the side, the sculpt of them. And he has a darker color until it comes to his mouth, and then it's probably the lightest green on his body, on his chin and his nose. And good sculpt in that, and I like how his teeth are kind of jagged all over the place. I wish they would have done a few more teeth, because I picture a crocodile with more teeth. But the inside, the palate of his tongue, both the sculpt and texture and the color of it is phenomenal. And I like the coloring on the inside of his mouth, not just his tongue. I think it's a great compliment. One complaint is there is a seam line, as you probably saw, but you really can't get away from a seam line when you're gonna have switch out heads. So honestly, I wish they would have stuck with one head. It's not as bad as the Sideshow Premium Format Killer Croc, but before I sum up, let me grab the Batman, and so you can see the scale together. So here's the scales of the two. I think it's a perfect scale. I think they hit it right on. And this actually, I love this setup right here. They're about to face off. They're both pissed. I could face them a little more, but then you guys wouldn't be able to see them in the camera. So those are my thoughts on Prime 1 1/3 scale Killer Croc. I hope you liked it. If you guys haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please hit that bell. I'm trying to save up for a hamster. So if I get enough money the next few months over YouTube, I'll be able to buy the hamster and then I can save up for the cage. So really appreciate you guys watching. Please let me know your comments on this guy. If you would buy him, if he's too big, if that's what she said, if he's too overpowering. Really appreciate you watching. Thanks so much.